Greetings, this is Pastor Mark Anderson from Lutheran Church of the Master in Corona del Mar, California, and welcome to this video on some reading suggestions. This is for your reading. I've put together a stack of books over here, pulled them randomly out of my library, and I didn't try to organize them in any particular way. I just pulled out some books that I enjoy and have read for some recently and some for a number of years. And I thought I'd pass them along to you as recommendations and hope that you will be able to benefit from them. A lot of these are no longer in print, but they are available through Amazon and other used book venues. So I think you should be able to find most of these with a little bit of looking around. Amazon or eBay will have quite a few of them. So one on the top, we'll just start with the first one here. This is a classic work by a theologian, a teacher who taught at the University of Iowa for many years, George Farrell. Some of you may know that name. Had the pleasure to meet Dr. Farrell years ago and had a very good conversation with him. This book, Faith, Active in Love, is really kind of a classic. It's a work that deals with Luther's ethics as he discusses the relationship of the Christian to social life, to the community and society. This is really quite a good book, and it delves in a very balanced way into this question of Luther's ethical stance with regard to various matters of society, church and society, and the Christian life and so forth. So this is a good one, Faith, Active in Love. I recommend this. Next is a classic, of course, Luther's commentary on Galatians. Nothing more needs to be said about that. You can find this in various editions, and you can't go wrong. Keep the book of Galatians next to you and go through this, and it's a tremendously helpful commentary by Martin Luther on Paul's letter to the Galatians. Here's an old work by Gerhart Ferdi, theologian we like, as you know. The Law-Gospel Debate. This was written many years ago, and it's kind of heavy lifting in some ways, in a lot of ways actually. But for those of you who want to go a bit deeper and kind of delve into the early Gerhard Ferdi and how he was working through this law-gospel business, this is a good book, Law-Gospel Debate by Gerhard Ferdi. Okay, next is a collection of essays called Justification is for Preaching by Virgil Thompson. This is these essays are in the tradition of Ferdi, where he taught and believed, as many of us do, that the purpose of theology is to inform preaching. It's to strengthen the preaching of the church. And so you'll get a lot of essays in here on that, and it's a very, very helpful book, Justification is for Preaching by Virgil Thompson. Here's a Ferdi book, Theology is for Proclamation. Basically in the same vein as the one I just showed you. This is Ferdi's, one of his classics, actually. This has helped a lot of people, and I read it once in a while. I go back to it probably a couple times a year at least, and it's well worth your time. Theology is a Proclamation, Gerhard Ferdi. Here's another classic for a lot of us. This was written by Dr. Jim Nestigan and by Dr. Ferdi when they were at Luther Seminary. Free to Be. It was written for confirmation students, but I have used it for adult classes for many years, and I've given it out to newly baptized people. When I baptize adults, this is one of the books that I give them. And it's really a great, straightforward laying out of the Christian faith as we understand it. This is Free to Be by Gerhard Ferdi. You can use it with your kids. You can use it as adults. It's really a good good book. Here's a book that was edited by Marianne Ferdi. That's Gerhard Ferdi's wife. She died just recently, but after Ferdi's death, she did some work on his material and put out a couple of books. This is one of them. This is a collection of his sermons, and well worth your reading. We preach Christ crucified. sermons by Ferdi, edited by his late wife, Marianne. This is another recent book by Ken Jones, who teaches at Grandview College in Iowa, and the Lutheran Toolkit. Kind of what as the title implies, it gives you some tools for understanding the basics of the Lutheran faith. Christian faith as we Lutherans understand it. So this is another good one, the Lutheran Toolkit, fairly recent publication. Nice one to have around. This is a kind of another one, I would say kind of a classic, really, by Philip Watson. Been out for a long time. Let God Be God. Watson was not a Lutheran, but he went deep into Luther's thinking and theology, and he came up with this really wonderful book, interpretation of Luther's theology, Let God Be God. And can't go wrong with this one. Philip Watson, Let God Be God. This is another work by Marianne Ferdi. This was a book she wrote on her husband's life, Gerhart Ferdi's life, and gives you a really great picture of this influential Lutheran theologian and his origins and the kind of person he was. And it's very accurate, very obviously. I mean, she knew him better than anyone, and gives you a good picture of this wonderful Christian fellow. This is another classic by Roland Bainton. Roland Bainton taught at Yale University for many years. He was an historian. And this book, Here I Stand, is considered to be probably the classic work on Luther in English. You really can't go wrong with this. This is an excellent look at Luther's life and times. And really, anybody who's interested in Martin Luther needs to read this book. This was written by a professor of mine who was also with us here some years ago for an annual weekend conference we hold called Weekend with the Word. We've had many people here over the years to speak. Mark was one of them. Wonderful guy from northern Minnesota. Mark is gone now, but he left a real legacy of faith and teaching behind. And this is one of the books he wrote for lay people entitled Called by the Gospel. It's an introduction to the Christian faith. A very good book to get a survey of what we Lutherans believe and teach. And I'd highly recommend this. I've used this over the years off and on in classes as well. And this is Called by the Gospel by Mark Colden. So that's just a few suggestions for your reading. You can obviously go back on the video if you missed something and take down notes of titles and authors and so forth. You'll find a lot of these. You should be able to find most of these on Amazon, as I said, or on eBay. Maybe you have to dig around a little bit, but I pulled these randomly out of my library, and I think you'll find them to be extremely helpful, very useful. I certainly have over the years. And these are people you can lean on with some confidence, and they will open up the scriptures and open up the freedom of the gospel. And that's what we're all about here. So enjoy your reading. I would like to hear from you. If you want to give me a shout when you've read one of these and tell me what you think. We could have a conversation about that, and I hope that you find them to be a real blessing as you read. Okay, we'll do this again at some point here in the future. I'll bring out another stack and we'll go through them, and I hope that you'll find these all to be very useful in your Christian faith and life. God bless you.